And now we'll be given an opportunity to meet two candidates who are running for one open seat on the Fort Atkinson School Board, Sarah+Hammer and Scott Johnson. Sarah is a newcomer to running. Scott is the incumbent in this position. I'd like you each to introduce yourself and explain your reasons for declaring your candidacy, and we'll start with Sarah.
I'm Sarah+Hammer. I live here in the city of Fort Atkinson over on Highland Avenue. And I've lived here since my husband Tom and I bought our first home in 1998. He grew up here. I have two young daughters in our public schools. My oldest is in 3rd grade at Purdy Elementary, and my youngest will be in kindergarten in the fall. And they're my main reason that I'm running for school board. I've never been politically active before. My opponent and I were interviewed by the Fort Atkinson Education Association, and I'm honored to have received the teacher's endorsement. I've met with every administrator in our district and toured our public schools to better understand what their needs would be should I be elected to our school board. I've even met with Dennis Puckenmeister, who's our district's director of building and grounds. And Dennis is an amazing man who came to our district in 2005, and he had the ideas for our solar and wind projects and did the research to get the grants to help pay for these sustainable energy projects. I'm proud of these projects as environmentalism and progressive sustainability are things that are important for our future. And I was happy that our school board voted unanimously to implement these cost-saving and environmentally friendly projects. Dennis has even more great ideas, such as using the excess solar energy at the high school to heat the water throughout the building, and I look forward to working with him and the board on these projects for cost-saving progress in our future. Education is something that's very important to me. When I was a young child, my grandfather told me I must respect my education as it's the one thing that no one can ever take away from me. I'm child number 7 in a blended family of 9, and I'm the only one to have earned a 4-year college degree. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Geography and Biology from UW-Whitewater, and recently I went back to school to become an RN. I even managed to make the dean's list despite my children being 5 and 2 years old, and working part-time while going back to school a couple years ago. The school board race should not be about anyone's personal or political agendas, and this is why I feel I'm the ideal person to serve as a voice for the needs of my community and its children, because those needs are for maintaining an educational system that does what it's supposed to do, educate our children.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Scott Johnson.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good evening. I'm Scott Johnson, and I've served your community as a member of the school board for 12 of the last 13 years. And my background is all agriculture. I was raised on a large dairy farm near Janesville, Wisconsin. I got a degree in agricultural economics, a bachelor degree from the UW-Wisconsin at Madison. And I'm a graduate of the Wisconsin Rural Leadership Program, and I'm currently working on my master's degree in school business management at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. That's an outgrowth of my time on the school board and just wanting to understand in great detail the nuances of funding and school management with all the regulations that we deal with, and being able to help the taxpayers is possibly doable, keeping in mind that educating our children is our primary goal, and giving them their opportunities for their success in their future. The reasons I'm running is really, to me, is many. I really offer stability in a time of change and unrest, with great vision and views from both where we've been and where we potentially wish to go with this community. And our council candidates brought up the fact that we want to have a outstanding community for our people to come to and to take part of. And I think our efforts on the school board in the past 12 years, 13 years have been very well documented, and we've continued to improve a great system before, and it's just that much better today. The leadership that I've provided has been fair and forthright, has been balanced. it's provided a kind of guidance and direction that the school board and the school district administration enjoyed, and we've been able to lead people in a very positive direction.
Okay, thank you both very much. Next question, what are the 3 most pressing challenges facing the school district of Fort Atkinson? And we'll start with Mr. Johnson this time.
Well, finances are always going to be a major concern. We have a majority of our taxpayers with no children enrolled in our schools. Many of them are living on fixed incomes. And the funding formulas are very complicated, they're very confusing, and funding is always going to be a major concern, I think, to the school district and to our community. I think the school board's fiscal stewardship that it's shown in the last 12 years has been outstanding. The community is again voted to trust our stewardship and provide us with revenue funds so we can continue to educate the children and keep our programs in place. We've been very judicious. We've made reductions as needed to keep everything balanced, because we don't operate in a deficit. And it's just been, it takes a lot of guidance and a lot of insight to make that. We haven't laid anyone off. We've done all of our reductions via attritions. It's not that we haven't made reductions, but we haven't put someone out of work, I think. And that's something that's very uncommon in all the transactions that are going on across the state in a lot of school districts. There are school districts that have been laying people off, and they've been treating their staffs a whole lot different than what Fort Atkinson's been doing. We treated our staffs extremely fairly and forthright. I think I've spoken about our staff, and that to me is another big issue to us, because we want to retain our staff, we want to develop our staff, and we want to keep them ingratiated to our children, to teach them. Technology is still an expensive issue. I think it's something that we need, because we need to keep it in our classroom because of its presence in the workplace.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah?
I think community involvement, teacher morale, and budgets are the top 3 challenges I see. Over the past few weeks, I've taken the initiative to go out into our community and speak with the residents of Fort Atkinson about the school board. And one of the things I keep hearing over and over is that people don't know how to talk to the school board, or they feel there's no way for them to voice their concerns and ideas to the school board. So I'd like to see an open and user-friendly way for the community to address their concerns and ideas to the board. I think it'd be beneficial to better promote the public or open forum that the school board has, so that our community is more aware of its ability to address our district's administration with its concerns and ideas. The second challenge I see is that teachers' morale is hitting rock bottom. This deeply saddens me, as my father was a teacher for 38 years, and I have a profound respect for those that work so hard to shape the minds of the children who will one day take care of us in our world. My concern over the events in our state this past year is that with teachers being villainized, their morale directly affects the classrooms and the children that learn in those classrooms. Fort Atkinson is known for its excellent teaching staff and educational atmosphere. As a board member, I feel it's important to demonstrate our respect and the value we hold for our school's commitment to shaping our future leaders. I plan to work towards affirming that excellence and enabling the best education for our children. And last but not least, the never-ending challenge every school board faces is maintaining balance in the district's budget. I understand this balance and the need to remain fiscally responsible while meeting the needs of the children, to see that they are most competitive they can be to succeed. It's my understanding, after meeting with every administrator in our district, that our district is doing better financially than many other districts, despite statewide cuts. There will always be changes ahead, and the focus on balancing a budget alone over planning for those needs that educate our children and allow them the best chance to succeed isn't what will keep Fort Atkinson schools at the top of the list in competitive districts. I live a modest life in the community, and I understand the financial burdens of property taxes. These must be balanced with the needs of our children and the needs those children have to get an excellent education that will prepare them to be competitive in the job market.
Thank you very much to both of you. This next question was submitted by a community member with a little difference for each of you, so I'm going to read it exactly as it was submitted. For Scott, how do you feel the fixes from Act 10 are working? And for Sarah, I noticed you signed the Scott Walker recall petition. Does that mean you feel that his fixes from Act 10 are not working? And I'm going to leave it up to you to decide who wants to take a first crack.
Well, the fixes from Act 10 are a rather interesting item in this community because of the activity that the school board had done in the past. A lot of the fixes that were in Act 10, we had already implemented various parts of that. And so some of the fixes that Act 10 provided some school districts, Fort Atkinson, didn't receive. Our staff had already been contributing 10% of their premiums. So when Act 10 allows us to collect 12.6%, there's not a whole lot of benefit to us. We gain 2.6% of the premium, whereas many districts, they were paying the full premium for their staff. Another part of Act 10 was the allowance to shop insurance outside of WEAC. And again, from past practice, we had already been shopping our insurance, and we didn't have WEAC insurance. So the monumental savings that were available there, again, were not available to the District of Fort Atkinson because of the stewardship the board had done in the past. Half of the support of the retirement, that 5.8%, we did collect that. But as you noticed in last spring's referendum, we still asked for that $694,000 because that was something that was needed to keep the budgets going, and we still had to make some $570,000 of reductions. When you net out the Act 10, I think we lost about $1.3 million in revenues, and I think we collected about $500,000. Anyhow, we were short a few $100,000 that many districts didn't get. And my apology for not having those numbers all at the top of my head, but Act 10 served reasonably well, but because Fort Atkinson was ahead of the curve on many of the things that Act 10 provided, we didn't gain the benefits that some districts did.
And Sarah?
And yes, I think that Scott Walker should be recalled, as well as our Senate Majority Leader, Scott Fitzgerald. I believe that there is a policy and a way to follow that policy, and our lawmakers should be held to the highest regard when we elect them to follow laws that are made. And Act 10, first of all, one of the big parts for it was me. I'm not in the union, I never have been, but collective bargaining had nothing to do with repairing the budget, and coming to the table and negotiating, being able to say that your work environment is safe, being able to say how many children you can teach in your classroom. If you are a prison guard, being able to say how many guards should be present when you have an unruly prisoner. If you're an iron worker, being able to say how safe it is for you to be up how high without restraints. Those are collective bargaining things. They don't affect taxpayers. So people that say collective bargaining costs taxpayers money need to do a little research, because collective bargaining doesn't cost taxpayers money. Collective bargaining is coming to the table and having the right to negotiate for safety in your workplace. And when the open meetings law was broken by Senator Fitzgerald, the reason they were able to overturn that and say in the court and say it was right and they got Act 10 pushed through was because there was no fiscal matter in that, which showed right there that there was no monetary value in Act 10 whatsoever. It didn't affect the budget at all.
Thank you both for answering this question, which you were not aware of before. I'd now like each of you to make your closing statement and tell us why the voters should elect you to the one position that's available on the school board. And Sarah, I'll let you go first because Scott started first for the last one that I asked.
As I said, my opponent and I were both interviewed by the Fort Atkinson Education Association, and I received the recommendation and ultimately the vote for endorsement by the teachers as the person that they feel would best serve as the representative of our school district on the school board. Unlike my opponent, I live here in the city of Fort Atkinson and have young children in the school district, so I am involved on the ground level. I'm running for the school board because I want our children to continue to have the best education possible, the education Fort Atkinson has been known for. As a nurse, every day that I work, people trust me with the ones they love the most. Critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and teamwork are essential to maintaining positive outcomes in my workplace. These are just a few of the attributes that would make me an asset to our school board. I've met so many people in our community over the past few weeks that are excited with my enthusiasm and appreciate someone who's willing to listen to them. If anyone has questions for me that weren't answered here tonight, they can email me at sarahforschoolboard@gmail.com. I hope that people who appreciate my enthusiasm and willingness to listen are everywhere here in our community, and that they show up to vote for me, Sarah+Hammer, on April 3rd to serve as a fresh new voice in our community as your school board member.
Thank you very much. And Scott, Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. I wish to thank the Chamber and the AAUW for this WFAW for this event tonight. I think it's important that we have an opportunity for candidates to share with the public. I think there's some significant differences between Sarah and myself, and I think you've got a slight taste of that this evening. I do offer a very stable, long-term perspective of where our school board's been, and would like the opportunity to continue to lead it into the future. I think that I've earned the community's trust because of my sincerity and straightforward, honest integrity that I've used in working with the board in the past. The geothermal was a Herculean effort to start years ago, and it's really opened this community's eyes to the opportunities of sustainable alternative energies, and Dennis does outstanding work in continuing to offer more of those ideas up to our school district and our community. I just look forward to the opportunity to, again, serve my community with honor and respect, and the trustworthiness that you place in me, and look forward to you being at the booth and voting. I think it's one of those civic duties that we all have, and very few Americans really cherish enough to value it. And if you vote, you have a right to complain, and if you don't vote, maybe you ought to think about that.
Thank you both very much for your very thoughtful answers. Mrs. Sarah+Hammer and Mr. Scott Johnson, who are candidates for the school district of Fort Atkinson.